I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Clark Public Utilities Board of Commissioners for October 18th. This is our public meeting, and thank you so much for being here. Mr. Ben Richards wants to speak to us, I think via Zoom. Mr. Richards, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Will you introduce yourself a little bit so we know where you are and who you are?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. My name is Ben Richards, and I am a resident of Oreille County. I'm speaking to you today near Usk, Washington. The Bitcoin mining company Bitmain, which is based in Beijing, People's Republic of China, operates a large Bitcoin mining facility in Oreille County with 17,949 Bitcoin mining machines, which represents around 1% of the total global active Bitcoin mining capacity. The limited liability corporation, Merkle Standard, publicly represents Bitmain. Merkle Standard is a shell company with no assets and is not a party to the power contract with the Oreille PUD. I would like to share an excerpt from the op-ed recently published in our local newspaper last week. Beijing's Bitmain, All-Rise Capital's most recent power request to allegedly restart the former PNC paper mill appears to be a bait-and-switch tactic to get control of the PUD, Box King, and Dam's cheaper renewable power for China's Bitcoin mining, while setting up the PUD to look like the bad guy should their plans fail. Last month, the Bitmain-governed LLC, Cascade Digital Mining, submitted a new power request to the Bonneville Power Administration for an additional 70 megawatts of electricity to be provided through the Box King and Dam, which is exactly the amount of power needed to run the Bitcoin mining operation, but not enough to run the paper mill. The Mead-Usk power connection, which supports their existing 100 megawatt contract, is at maximum capacity. According to the BPA, expanding the system's capacity would require Bitmain and All-Rise to spend at least $40 million for work that cannot be completed before 2026. Why does Cascade Digital Mining so urgently need the power a year before the mill could produce any paper? Why would they even want to risk millions of dollars reopening an unprofitable paper mill on the cusp of a global recession? It does not make sense. It only makes sense when you consider that the Bitmain All-Rise crypto mining venture is in severe financial trouble and desperately needs the Oreille County ratepayers to bail them out. How did that happen? Believing they had hit the crypto motherlode, the US Crypto project took on an enormous financial obligations of around $300 to $400 million in market value. Under the crypto mining conditions last year, they could have reasonably expected to make over $350 million a year, even after power costs. However, the COVID-induced Bitcoin bubbles collapsed and higher power costs have crushed their annual revenue projections. The US project has only 3 to 5 years to pay back their financial obligations and earn a profit because the mining computers last no more than 3 to 5 years before needing to be replaced by another $300 million of new machines. The All-Rise Bitmain team will struggle to clear $10 million in total after-power revenue over the next year, making it impossible to pay off their financial commitments. Ever. That is, unless they can dramatically reduce their power costs. Clark County Public Utilities from Vancouver, Washington has been negotiating with the Oreille PUD for a long-term contract for the output of the Box King and Down. Using the paper mill as bait, Bitmain hopes to pressure the PUD into committing our clean, renewable hydropower to profit China's Bitmain, while assuming significant financial risk to its ratepayers and denying that power to our fellow Washingtonians, instead of securing a safe and lucrative contract with Clark County. The majority of residents in our county are skeptical of the alleged plan to reopen the paper mill and are suspicious of Bitmain's motivations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Richards, very much. I also have Monty Stahl. He may be here in person to speak to us. Mr. Stahl, would you go to the microphone? Thank you. Mr. Stahl is from Merkle Standard.
Good morning, and thank you, commissioners, for taking time to hear our comments today. Thank you, Ms. Anderson, for coordinating for this comment period. Again, my name is Monty Stahl. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Merkle Standard, and I grew up in the Tri-Counties area, just north of Colville, Washington, right down the road from where I work right now in Usk, Washington. Merkle Standard is a digital asset data center that we operate in Usk, Washington. Our county, Oreille County, where we live and work, is a poverty county. It's one of the poorest counties in Washington state. It's a rural county, very small and very affected by big changes to the economy. this county is where we work, where we call home, and our business, Merkle Standard, is one of the largest taxpayer in the county, and we're a major employer. So we're very proud of the digital asset data center that we've recently constructed, and we're very proud of being part of that community and our participation in that community. So the reason that commissioners, I'm here today to make comment is because I didn't get the opportunity to make informed comments after reviewing the contract that's proposed between Oreille PUD and this utility. That agreement was not briefed to the community. It was not given in full detail. The legal terms were not made public in the meeting that they approved it. So they rushed it through in a single meeting. It was both introduced and approved. And we had to request the full legal terms after the fact. And the most concerning thing to us is, one, we weren't able to make informed comment on how that not only impacts us, but other industrial companies in the county and the entire economy of Oreille County as a whole. So the lack of being able to make those informed comments is why I'm actually here today to speak to you guys, because we didn't have that chance in Oreille County because it was rushed through in a single session. So our request is that our community be given the adequate time to actually review the full terms of this contract and be able to make informed comment, and that hopefully it'll give us time for our own utility to take a meeting with us and discuss how it only impacts us, not only impacts us, but impacts the rest of the community. Because this agreement that is before you today, as I understand from your agenda, will have a very significant impact on our rural economy. It will change the fundamentally the calculus of that economy and what's gone on there for the past multiple decades, and it'll affect our business tremendously. It'll have a significant impact, as we understand it, from the legal terms that we received after it was passed. So thank you very much for your time and consideration. Again, we're asking for more time for our community to be able to understand this contract and to be able to communicate those impacts to our utility. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if you have questions, commissioners, we can ask during this item on the agenda of Mr. Stahl. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Todd Barron is also here to speak to us. Thank you.
Thanks also for the opportunity to speak with you today. So I'm Todd Barron. I'm also from long-term resident of Oreille County. I've been there a little over 30 years. I worked for the paper mill before, and now I am the CEO of Oreille Industries that owns and wants to operate those same assets again. The very short and limited time and availability to the terms of the agreement, I was concerned. And same request is to like enough time to adequately understand the effect. If we can't have a predictable and affordable source of power, I can't restart the paper mill. It's one of the three large inputs to the paper making process is energy. So we need to understand the effect that the terms of the agreement, applaud your forward-looking efforts to get your CETA compliant power lined up, but we could just get a little pause so we understand how it affects our business plan. It would be beneficial, and we have the other elements in place that would allow the start of the paper mill, restart, I should say. What was once actually for about 3 decades, was the largest employer by far in the county, and has been idle for a couple of years now. So appreciate your attention, and please consider our request for adequate time and public information from our utilities so we understand the terms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. Thank you.
Sean Reagan?
Mr. Reagan?
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for providing me the seconds here to just articulate my position. I am the president of the North Pond Oreille Chamber of Commerce. And after listening to some of the commenters today, it's obvious that we have a very, very valuable asset here in Pond Oreille County in the production of green power. And because the community did not have adequate time to pour over that very dense PSA and its implications, and our own PUD has not been very cooperative in providing us what we need to make an informed consent. I'm coming to you, the other side of the equation, and asking you to please provide us the time to evaluate the implications of this PSA. And with that, I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reagan. All right, I think we're ready to move on with our agenda. We're going to move on now with consideration of the purchase power agreement with Pond Oreille PUD, and I think Mr. Bedberry is going to lead this discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Okay. There we are. Okay. Just kick things off here. This is like I say, this plant is one transmission leg away from Clark County. It's in the north part of the state. It's kind of surrounded by, we have 31 dams in the slice contract. And so the Libby Hungry Horse, Chief Joe, and Grand Coulee and Albany Falls are right around, clustering around where Box Canyon resides on the north part of the state. And so we would be looking at using transmission to bring this home the same way we use transmission for all the BPA products in that contract. Moving forward, just a quick review of the key points of the contract. This is Box Canyon, and we're getting capacity, energy, and all the environmental attributes. 100% clean. The capacity is mostly springtime, 87 megawatts of capacity. The average is around 48.2 over the years 2011 to 2020. This purchase amount is approximately 9% of our current average load of around 535 megawatt hours. The Box Canyon Western Resource Adequacy Program is a qualifying capacity. It's called the QCC, the qualifying capacity contribution. We've already taken a look at those numbers, and so we are short capacity, and so this is going to bring us clean capacity, which would reduce our cost in that program with the Western Resource Adequacy Program. And it's much, much more than the capacity we would receive from solar or wind, because on the peak hours where they calculate that, they're generally predictably low. And so this gives us a very large capacity contribution compared to other renewables. The term is 16 years. You see 2026 to 2041. Clark will be paying 100% of an annual product cost plus an environmental attribute adder. The fixed costs will not be escalated. So we have fixed costs, plus a variable cost times an inflationary adjustment with a bracket on that of 1 to 6% per year. The fixed costs are known, debt service plus known license obligations, and those are really about $12 million a year, very predictable. So $12 million on the fixed costs. The parties to this contract agree that on the effective date of the agreement, the baseline variable costs are going to be $8,024,000. To determine the variable costs for 2026, Pond Oreille is going to, by September 30th of 2025, provide to us a calculation showing the baseline variable adjustment multiplier for these inflationary periods up to the effective date starting August 31, 2025. And the adders contracted with Pond Oreille are going to be $4 per megawatt hour for the years 2026 to 2033, $5.25 adder 2034 to 2037, and $6.50 2038 through end of 2041. New solar and new wind face headwinds with regard to supply chain, transmission corridor right-of-way, and permitting. This is nothing new. CETA starts, the first 4-year compliance period starts in just 8 years. Tens of thousands of renewable requests sit in that BPA or BPA queue. People that are looking to build things, and it's up to 10 years to build new major transmission lines. We need to act quicker than that to reduce River Road actually, and to meet the CETA standards. The use of Box Canyon, the third bullet there's no marginal cost. That first map that shows the Northwest, we can wheel from any location to our load, either our specified resources, this resource, or even a spot resource. We can wheel it to load with no marginal cost on transmission. Our bill is based on BPA's total peak hour for NT and point to point, usually 25,000 megawatt hours. On that peak hour, they look at our load. That's our bill for the month, is our load during the peak load. So no marginal cost to wheel this to our load. So our load, our transmission is based on load and not on incremental wheeling charges. Along with an increased access to BPA Tier 1 and Tier 2 based on a big one, which was the partial undeclaration of River Road. We are able to take that 122 megawatts that we cannot run to load due to CETA. We can replace that with Bonneville, either Tier 1 or Tier 2. So that was a major milestone in our efforts to reduce River Road. And this is just another milestone that we're looking at in order to reduce generation to meet CETA and to reduce local criteria pollutants. Box Canyon is 100% clean capacity. The Box Canyon provides 100% greenhouse gas free energy, as well as that Western Resource firm capacity. The EPA is talking about providing a net peak requirement product with a slice block customer, but it's not going to be basically our peak hour, but a one and two peak load. Until such time, we are exposed to high energy costs, higher capacity costs, while we await a BPA contract in 2028, in October 2028, where we just spoke to them yesterday, there will be a new capacity product for us. It will not serve all of our needs. And so we are still looking for clean capacity in the short term and in the longer term with Bonneville contracts. There's also a I-937 benefit under CETA, because we already have an I-937, which is a 15% of load. Under the Clean Energy Transformation Act, there's a provision in there that if you're over 100% clean in any 1 year, not the 4-year compliance period, but within a 1 year, you are waived from the I-937 requirement. And so if you had RECs that you had purchased for that, you could then basically use those for retail credit, retail RECs for our clients here and customers in town, or they could be monetized. And so there's a side benefit with our decision with EPA on partial undeclaration of River Road, as well as this contract with Box Canyon. So the CEIP, we filed that with the state January 1. A lot of work went in with public comments December before in 2021. So in 2022, we put that in, and the CEIP included not only the River Road partial undeclaration that we just received the final confirmation on, but also Box Canyon was in our CEIP that was filed with the state in January. We had a lot of comments where people asked us to look for existing hydro. Is there anything that's already existing? And so we did that in a big way with the BPA partial undeclaration, and we're doing this in a little bit smaller way, but in the same way. This is existing hydro in the Northwest that we can use to serve our customers to reduce the output of River Road. And actually, the way we monitored or modeled this at Bonneville, when the transmission, they asked us, how does this work? And so if Box Canyon is 95 megawatts in May during a good runoff, they just modeled River Road goes down because we're investing in the flex product that lets it go from 260 to 95 megawatts. Right now, it's base loaded. It's just a pedal down, constant output. And so this all ties in with the work with PSM, which is the third bullet there. We talk about the flame sheet. We're really excited about that. That'll be in 2024, May. 2041, the end of this contract, notwithstanding the right to renew it with a little 3-year renewal. This 2041 is about when we'll be signing the next 20-year contracts. We're signing those in 2025. We're starting in 2028. And so this parlays well into what's going on in the region, what's BPA's fuel mix content, what other resources were developed after this backlog, and the West Transmission bill for renewables. So if both parties agree, there is a renewal that can happen at that point in time. Intermittent wind and solar need battery pairing to be useful regarding seasonal storage or multi-day storage when wind is low capacity factor and solar, of course, is low in the winter. You see with Mr. Anderson's weekly or monthly reports, you see that there are times where we have 3 weeks without wind in the wintertime when there's no storms coming through. And so to pair up batteries with wind that's non-existent weeks at a time is tough, as well as solar with low radiation in the wintertime. That's why we're looking at this contract. Along with BPA hydro storage via the Slice M Block contract, which is the Lake Roosevelt storage. We have a 2% share of Lake Roosevelt storage, as well as Pondies of the Lower River. Box Canyon provides valuable, it's below boundary above Albany Falls. It's on every hour. It's not like it's missing midnight or missing 3 a.m. It's pretty much, it would be along with our block contract and Slice contract. This contract is just sit there at the base. It's not a peaking contract, but it's reducing some of the flat output of River Road. West Coast Clean Energy Transition supports the value of clean capacity. And so again, this is clean capacity, clean energy, and with all the renewable attributes. So we took the blue. It's pretty easy to look at this thing, but the blue is basically the forward market as provided by the Energy Authority, or RMA, Resource Management Agreement firm out of Jacksonville and up in Bellevue. And so that's the value of energy. And then you have to add the orange and the green. The orange is the carbon-free adder, and then the green, the capacity value is there. So right now the market to get flat, clean, green capacity, you can see is around $70 or so through 2030. This, as I said before on one of the first slides, is the adder on the variable expenses, not the fixed, but the variable on adder basically is bracketed 1% to 6%. And so what we wanted to show was in the very first, and this assumes that it's 1% for every year for 16 years. So the top one there, you can see the lowest of the lines assumes 1% every year. And there was a notation that in 2041, it drops from $54.20 per megawatt hour to $43.60. That's because of the debt reduction. The debt service falls from 6.2 million down from 11 to 6.2. So that's a little odd thing on that last year. 2.5% a year, which is actually the 10-year average for a CPI. 2.5% a year basically is the next line, the black line, and that's what we would expect to see over the course of the contract. If it escalated 4% every year, you have the next line, and 6%, if it went up 6% for 16 years, you see the number there is $75.70 in 2041. So that's just kind of again, the average output is 440,000 megawatt hours a year. That's average water. That's how we do our CEIP. When you do your CEIP, you have to assume average water, and you assume average wind, average solar. And so in looking at this in CEIP, we are using that 9% of load as if it produces average water. Every year will be different, and so you'll have the same fixed cost with more or less megawatt hours associated with that. And so we will show you every month the cost of these resources, like we do for BPA and River Road and for Combine Hills. This would just be added to that presentation. So today, staff, Steve Anderson is here as well. Staff recommends a motion from the board authorizing that the CEO, General Manager Lena Whitler, sign the Box Canyon Purchase Power Agreement.
Thank you. Can you stay for some questions?
Sure, can stay for questions.
Commissioners, you have questions for Mr. Bedford?
The one question I have is this is a result of extended negotiation with our feasibility. I think we through all of the things that we
Yeah, we did a term sheet, which is kind of boxing what we want to do. We started with a term sheet a year ago, October 2021. And that was the start of the discussions because they were still finalizing their long-term sales of the plant through 2025. So we just kind of hit and missed there for a while. And then January, in the CETA, we put it in that we were working with them. Yeah. So it's been a year since we did the term sheet.
Mr. Bedford, did you have a question? Yeah. Go ahead.
So I noticed in reading through the power purchase agreement, there's some talk about a coordination committee. Can you explain a little bit more about how that's going to work?
This is the coordination committee for the PPA. I think that we would be looking at when the outages would be planned, like you would with almost like with Bonneville. We don't really talk about the outages, but it would be a schedule of what are the plans for the plant for scheduled maintenance. They replaced all the turbines back in the middle 20, maybe 15, 16, 17. And so we have seen the historical output of the plant, download that. And so it'd be a committee where we would just talk about, so we can plan for budget, how many months of generation we would have when one of the turbine might be down for some repair. I think there's 3 or 4 turbines there. So that would be
and it's something that we would participate in. We wouldn't just be.
No, we would be participating, yeah. And then TEA would be the scheduling agent, basically. Yeah.
I think the rest of us.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I remember asking you in one of our public meetings months ago about a crypto mining offer that Pend Oreille was entertaining. So I had read about their interest in this plant for at least 6 months, if not longer. And you just went over the negotiation that we went through. So my question is, what kind of a contract does Pend Oreille PUD have to supply power to their own residents and local businesses?
Mr. Anderson, I'm pretty sure they have an output of a Boundary Dam. And so the output of Boundary Dam right now exceeds their loads. And so, yeah, they're long energy without Box Canyon. So
what kind of a contract is that with Bonneville for that PUD?
Steve, I think we're following.
Well, the contract with Boundaries with Seattle Ski License.
Seattle.
Correct, yeah.
With Bonneville, they don't need any Bonneville power.
So they don't have a power contract with Bonneville.
They do, but they don't have any power flowing right now.
I see. Okay. They have the ability to get power from the GA, but they don't take any right now.
Yes.
And you may or may not know the answer to this. So this crypto mining proposal that is clearly what some of these gentlemen are talking about would employ the number of people that the Pend Oreille paper employed. Do you have any idea in your whether this was a large employer? Because in my experience, crypto mining operations are not large local employers.
I can't opine on that.
Great. Okay. Any other questions?
And comments?
I'm sorry. So what? I didn't hear you, Jane. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I'll make a motion that we authorize our CEO General Manager to sign the Box Canyon purchase power agreement.
I'll second that. I do have some comments. So I thought you had any questions.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It doesn't really matter for you. So, but I just think it's important that we heard from people that, came to our meeting. We always appreciate the public comment, but I think this is really important, as we heard earlier, about what our plans are and how we are managing our resources in our future to not only have more clean power supporting our community here, but also having at very reasonable costs, and that's very, very reliable. So some of the things that there are green choices out there, but we know that all resources aren't the same, and a hydro power purchase plan that is part of and so closely intertwined with our Bonneville regional system, I think is really great. And it's something that I'm so glad that we're working toward our goals and getting there earlier than the 2030 deadline that we have. So I think we've done very well this year, and I think this is a great product that we're going to have, and it's definitely going to benefit our community.
Thank you. Any other comments, Mr. Malinowski?
No, but I fully support the motion.
Comments from staff or the public? Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. So we have 20 employees in our digital asset data.
Oh, thank you. That was one of my questions. Okay.
And I want you to know that this affects our planned technical restart of 150 employees. We have a shared industrial campus, and that's what our CEO is here today talking about. Is this was a dam that was built for the benefit of Pend Oreille County. It's been rushed through without public comment. That's why we're here today. So by taking this choice, you're affecting not only the employees that I have, because this materially affects our business. There was an incorrect statement made that we don't use DPA power. Right now we are, in fact, using DPA power. We are Pend Oreille PUD is a beneficiary of net requirements. That is how DPA allocates some of that power, and that is competitively priced power. This purchase and sale agreement, page 18, states that for the calculation of net requirements, this is still going to count against Pend Oreille County. So not only are you taking the clean energy, and we're not saying that this deal should be stopped, we're saying it should be slowed down and give us time to communicate to our utility how much this affects us. It also accounts for the net requirements allocation. So when EPA goes to allocate the power that we use on our business, which is the largest taxpayer in the county, and will hopefully run the paper mill, they've taken the fact that this is a native resource for Pend Oreille County. And the way this deal was negotiated is that this still counts against us. So essentially, you're both taking out the hydropower of the county, and that still counts against us when it comes to the allocation of EPA resources. That will have a significant material impact on the viability of our entire region's economy. So I ask for reconsideration of this. It just needs more time. Specifically blocking net requirements from this deal. I think there's probably a deal here for you guys. But the fact that this still counts against our own county from a net requirements perspective is gravely damaging from an economic perspective. Thank you very much.
Thanks. So, seeing no further comments, I guess I just fully disagree. We've been negotiating this for a long time. Asking for more time is just not resonating with me.
Also, we're asking for more time from the wrong people. I guess I have faith that the commissioners at Pend Oreille, I'll just say it out there, Pend Oreille PUD, know your community. They know these, how the power is done. We understand, we're a Bonneville customer. And so I guess I just want to say, I don't want to say whatever their decision making is, but we've worked with them. And I think, trying to change the agreement might mean there's no agreement. And they're there. They know that you're paying taxes. They know that the paper mill was there and has been closed for a number of years. And so I guess I would say they're looking out for their county as a whole by having a contract from a solid purchaser that they know they're going to get the money. It's also a government entity, so it works for tax exempt bonds that they might want to issue for this project. So I think, I guess I just have faith that they did that and acted.
Yeah. Thank you for recognizing me one more time. And we do appreciate the ability to make these comments. Are you aware that it appears that there's some communication between the staff where they were deliberately trying to camouflage or hide this deal from the public? There's an email communication that was discovered, and we were asked to comment by a local reporter who did a Freedom of Information Act request. There's an email trail the very time that we have submitted a request for paper mill, and it goes back and forth from the Clark PD representative asking them to use code names and to camouflage and hide this request from the public specifically. And I believe some of your staff have received this from the same reporter who dug up this information. And so, we don't think that that's something that's in the benefit of the public, hiding it from the public. And it clearly impacts not only our business, but the entire regional economy. And that's why we're here to humbly request that there be just a little bit more time to understand what's going on with this deal. Because we didn't even have a chance to look at the full terms of the agreement until after they passed it, they introduced it and passed it in one session. Thank you so much for your.
I don't know if we'll ever get to a conclusion, but
And I would have to second what Commissioner Van Dyke said. I have a lot of confidence in Pend Oreille PUD, and I know how long we've negotiated this, and I know how public utilities have to be with this. So this is not convincing to me. So any other questions or comments? If not, I will call for vote on the motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion authorizing our CEO General Manager to sign the Box Canyon Power Purchase Agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bedbury. Thank you, public, for coming and helping us with all of this. Appreciate all of your comments. Yes, thank you.